Yo, yo, yo. So we're going live here on Instagram. So we'll wait for some of you guys to join. Rooster Mod is going to be joining us, which is exciting. So happy Sunday. We're just hanging out in the warehouse today. See if I can. Yeah. Oh, hey, I didn't know you were going to be on Council Tools account. That's
Yep.
cool. All right.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
How's everybody doing today?
Oh, they're coming in. We got 13. So happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy Sunday to you.
I am hoping we can kind of keep going. Hey, DG Mac is David McIntyre. Hi, David.
Hey, David.
Thanks for joining. Think of some
All right.
questions to ask.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys in here. That's
Yeah.
good.
Hello, Appalachian Reed Neck. Interesting name. So, yeah, I figured we'd hang out for like 30 minutes and Joey, talk about the house axe that Council Tool just dropped to us, and maybe talk about some other Council Tool stuff. Last time we had talked on here was the splitter faller's axe.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think you've got a lot of positive response from that video. Obviously, a lot of guys learned about it, so this is a good way to get the word out.
Yeah.
Especially for guys that don't follow Council Tool or aren't Council Tool fans.
Yeah.
It's a good way to expose a lot of people on Instagram to those products.
Yeah, for sure. And then also the new Hudson Bay. Talk about that today.
Okay.
The premium one. I did not get one of those, but I'm going to go grab one right now. And be right back.
Okay. Let's see everyone who's joining us today. A lot of new people, a lot of people that I'm not familiar with, but
Yeah.
I hope to be soon. So
is Jeremy Kenyon out of North Carolina. Hi, Jeremy. He watched Samson when I was at Steve and Ronnie Price's wedding.
okay,
And he's good friends with Taylor.
cool.
All right, well, let's start. And we might as well start with the house axe, since that's kind of the main thing that we wanted to share, since I have been asking Council Tool to see if they could put it on a 19-inch handle, and it finally dropped, and they kind of came fast, so I didn't really get to tease a bunch of people and talk about it, and that's kind of what I wanted to do here. So
Sure.
This is the house axe that is made by Council Tool in North Carolina, Lake Waccamaw. And I can talk about the specs, and maybe you can talk about some of the history of what this axe is traditionally. So
Sure.
It is 1060 steel, and it is the Sport Utility Line finish. It's user sharp out of the box, so it ships user sharp. It's hung proud with a poplar wedge and a steel step wedge in this case. It has a 19-inch handle that measures out at right around 18 and a half after it's hung.
Mm-hmm.
And this handle is Hickory. It's standard grain, so it's a standard handle, which means it does have a thin coat of wax on it. I brought a couple examples of handles so that we can go over that,
Okay.
what standard means. Here's
Sure.
one. It's kind of hard to see. The grain does go up and down. And then the other one, this one, which is the grain's going sideways.
Sure.
So, and that's
Okay.
that's what's going to happen with a standard axe. So that's what keeps these things budget friendly and such.
Yep.
So
Yeah, the nice thing about the orientation obviously is a point of contention for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 24-inch boys axe with perpendicular grain, and I beat the hell out of it, haven't had a problem. I've actually purposely tried to drive it into a stump as far as I could, knowing that I wasn't going to split it, and then tried to basically break that handle. And all I did was flex it. So doesn't mean that it's going to break. It's obviously probably not the strongest orientation, but for hatchets and small,
Yeah.
length tools that aren't really going to see the shock and the stress, they can have a long life and not have any issues. So, and there's only so many premium handles that can be produced
Yeah.
out of a tree.
Yeah.
I mean,
but if we put this on a premium handle, the price doubles. So it's like,
right.
because
Right.
it is a finite material as far as
Right.
premium. So I don't
Right.
want to have too much of a sticking point on the premium versus non, because that could be an argument we could talk about all day.
Right.
Yeah, David says shorter handles. On shorter handles, it doesn't seem to matter, and I agree. I would trust these things to last just as long as any other axe handle. So if you're worried about your handle breaking, you should have a fiberglass one.
Right.
Shankle Leatherworks in here, who I met in Ohio. He was at the Ohio Bushcraft Gathering that you and I were at. He asks, why are they hung proud? And he's just wondering. And also he's currently making a sheath for a saddle axe.
Sure. So the hung proud aspect of the sport utility line is to allow the handle to slightly mushroom when you wedge it. So you got a little bit of material on top of that eye as basically a backup to head retention. So we find that the ones that are hung proud over a longer period will have longer head retention and won't come off. So it's an upgrade from our standard line, which were hung flush with aluminum wedge. So the hung proud is more of a, like I said, it's a security feature, as well as there's a lot of guys that are doing that now. If somebody wanted to drive that wedge in further, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I had a little glitch on my side, so I want to make sure they didn't go. I wasn't just standing there going.
Yeah.
So yeah, if somebody really wanted to, they could drive that wedge further down if they really wanted to, if they could, and hung it and grind it down flush. If that's your preference, then make the axe the way you want it. But that's the reason that they're hung proud.
Yeah, and I think that flare that you get from that wedge flaring it out over the top of the head, that principle is found in a lot of different carpentry when they're using like chairs and things like that, where they're being wedged, keeping it from coming out. I mean, it's like holding it in. There's that extra holding wood kind of flaring out over the top. Right. So just kind of some physics there that allow that to add just a little bit more strength to the hand. All right, well then, so yeah, that's the specs on the 19-inch boys axe, or 19-inch house axe, which is a 2.25 pound, which I did not mention earlier, a 2.25 pound head, which is the standard boys axe head. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk more about kind of the history of a house axe and what a house axe is.
Sure.
Has been.
Sure. So a house axe is typically a boys axe head on a 18 or 19-inch handle. And it at 2.5 pounds, most people are able to swing that one-handed if they are close enough to the eye. Grabbing a full-size boys axe at the palm swell and swinging that one-handed at 28 inches, your accuracy is bad, your strength is bad, the leverage is just wrong for that if you're trying to do one-handed. So the closer your hand gets to the eye, the more control and more accurate you are with your splitting. So the idea of the house axe is that it was an axe that was made for producing firewood, whether it be stove wood, which is smaller pieces that you put in a cook stove. I mean, there's a lot of people that used cook stoves for hundreds of years prior to the invention of gas stoves and even LP. So my grandmother, her mom has a recipe that depending on how hot you need to make the oven, was how many corn cobs you would use in your cook stove.
Hmm.
So the same idea is with wood, is that you'd have short pieces about the size of a corn cob that you would feed the fire as you're cooking to then regulate that temperature. So the house axe is a short, heavy head for that handle, because normally hatchets are under 2 pounds. So it's a larger one for processing kindling, whether it be bucking up branches, deadfall in the yard, or even splitting, cedar rounds or pine rounds to get a really hot, fast fire. And so that's where the house axe basically comes from, is that need to create small fires to build bigger fires.
Yeah. Yeah, a great tool to have next to your house. It's not like a giant handle where you're having an issue with just taking up space or trying to swing it in the house, but you can right on your hearth and make small kindling out of a log right there, fireplace, or in this case, that is for a cook stove. And so,
I actually have a cook stove. It's not in use right now, but when I did, I actually had a stump, basically a round sitting on the floor, 18 inches away, so it wouldn't get warm.
Yeah.
And I would use that with a small boy's axe to process, kindling to start that fire. So it's even got modern applications.
Yeah. I mean, and usability outside of the home, just a boy's axe on a short handle, heavy head short handle seems to be something that I really like for just having as a van axe for camping, or a truck axe. I like to have, and that's the reason why I put the bay so much. And the pack axe is like, they're offered at a 2-pound head and come on a 19-inch handle. It's like really, really great to store and stow away until you actually need it, and you're not storing this thing on this giant handle.
Right.
So the house axe, this house axe also would be great, in the toolbox or side by side under the seat, or fan.
Sure. I mean, you could probably go down a long list of tasks or capabilities of that axe. I mean, everything from obviously splitting firewood for the home to limbing. I'd use it to drive bucking wedges. Use it driving felling wedges on a small tree.
Yeah.
I mean, the applications are endless for that type of in the middle head size.
Yeah.
And being short just makes it more controllable. Now, granted, it's you have to overcome some of that with technique to be safe, because it is on a shorter handle. You don't want it getting away from you and coming back and hitting you. But if you have some good, safe techniques for using that axe, sky's the limit on what you can do with it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It feels really comfortable to swing. Since we just got him in at the end of last week, I haven't gotten one into the woods yet to use, but at the warehouse here on our stump, I'm really into it. So we'll be probably firing up the cook stove in Fort here and doing a little kindling splitting with that, and a little video to just show it off, hopefully this week. So,
let me make a suggestion on that. Why don't you show how you can baton with that and be more accurate in your splits.
Yeah.
And then just use like a piece of firewood as the mallet.
Yep.
And then as long as you're not striking with steel, that eye should handle, some serious pounding if you're going to be using wood on it, because the shock isn't as bad.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
And it's safer that way too. If you're trying to hit a 3-inch diameter and your accuracy is off a little bit, but if you put the axe on that first and then strike the axe, you could be really more efficient if that's an option. So. And
so to clarify for anybody who's wondering, this is the house axe that is on the website. It is a 19. This is in the standard axe section on whiskeyrivertrading.com, and it is a variant option with the other boys' axes. So we have a 19-inch, a 24-inch, and a 28-inch available. Same head, handle just changes, and all three of them kind of act like complete tools. and have their own little good at. So yeah, check this out on whiskeyrivertrading.com in the standard axe section. If you guys are confused on finding it, shoot me a DM or an email at brandon@whiskeyrivertrading.com. So,
Sure. You may
um,
also mention that at this point, you're the only one who's carrying it.
yeah.
So if they go to try to find it from their favorite dealer.
Yeah, I did forget that. Council Tool wanted us to test out this axe and see if it worked specifically for our customer base, so that maybe they can add it to their network have available. So the better this thing sells in the next week, the better I can go to council and say, hey, this is a great product. This is moving. People really are enjoying it. So if you're watching this and you are kicking around, we'd like your support. So definitely the more people that pick these up and the more people that share them with their friends, the easier it is for us to launch these cool products and projects that are giving the market what they want. So then this is obviously something that's very historic and not being produced by any other axe manufacturing company that I'm aware of, a heavy head on this short of a handle. So definitely. Yeah. So I just wanted to jump on this comment here quick. Give firefighter discounts. LOL. Nice axe. The GovX section in the it's a first responders discount, which is GovX app, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you're a fireman. Head there. You get 10% off all orders on whiskeyrivertrading.com, and all you need to do is just sign up with your ID. So, yep, that's our way of thanking you guys, first responders, military, for all you do. So I wanted to move to the Hudson Bay. This is the premium Hudson Bay that we have not talked about, or you and I have not talked about on here together yet. We've been posting about this on our feed, and I think you guys have posted on your feed. But this is a premium Hudson Bay, and this is specifically the 19-inch model. There does come on a 24-inch model. So I'll go over the specs about this one, and then you can go kind of what. So 5160 steel, user sharp out of the box. It's hung proud, again, just like the boys axe that we were talking about earlier. Poplar wedge. And the difference is with this handle is that it has a thin coat of oil on it, but it is a premium handle, and it has the Council Tool laser etched logo on it, and it comes with leather. It comes with a full welted mask. You can see that with nickel hardware. So this is, and also the head is polished. It does have some texture to it still.
Yeah, it's like a fat satin finish.
Yeah, satin finish. So, and this does have a hardened pull, which is cool. So you can strike steel with this versus the boys axe. So,
show the balance.
What's that?
Show the balance on it too, how it's balanced. So there's no roll, there's no blade drop. It's balanced front to back in the head.
There you go.
And that makes it for not so much that the handle and the head are balanced, but the head itself is balanced.
Oh,
and it won't roll, right? And the advantage of that is that you're not fighting the blade. If the blade gets off to the side and you're still swinging, it helps balance your swing, especially if you're swinging it off angle or sideways.
Yeah.
You're not fighting it. So that's one of the reasons that we did that. Plus, the extended pull allows us then to add a hardening feature to it.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing I didn't mention about the spec here is that it is a traditional wedge pattern, and you can see how it tapers all the way through the eye. And then it's hard to see in here, but it does have a high center line. Again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the high center line, so the wedge shape is primarily through that center line.
Yeah.
And then the high center line allows it to have a little bit of a concave or convex edge from top to bottom. But the splittability of the axe has been improved from the older version.
Yeah.
Because 95% of everyone who's using that tool is trying to split with it. So.
Yeah, and so this replaced the tomahawk style Hudson Bay Pattern, 2-pound Hudson Bay that Council Tool offered previously. I don't have one handy to show, but the improvements with this are the taller eye,
Mm-hmm.
and bit stayed around the same distance, height.
Actually, let me correct you. The bit is shorter significantly for percentage wise. So the old one was almost 4.5 inches, and I think now it's just under 4.
Okay.
So it used to have a really big bit, and a lot of people thought that they could do big work with it,
Yeah.
but it's only a 2-pound head. And so now we're trying to take that weight and compact it a little bit and do it more specific on that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, and this is a great axe. This we sold on pre-order. I think it was back in October that we offered these as pre-order and with a first quarter shipment date, and they just shipped out a couple weeks ago. And everybody that's gotten it has been super happy, and I've been super excited to hear from them as they've been getting them into the woods as it warms up. So,
and so it's 5160 steel.
Yeah.
So that also makes it a premium. So.
Yep. And then let's talk about kind of a historical aspect of this pattern versus the tomahawk pattern, or just this pattern in general.
Sure. So what you're describing as a tomahawk pattern is a shorter eye and a bigger blade. And that short eye, across all the makers, they struggled with the handle and head connection because people were trying to use it heavier than it was, like above its weight class, like way above its weight class. And so they would stick the head into a round, and then they get stuck, and they crank up and down the handle, and they get the head loose.
Yeah.
So it happened so often that it got to a point where I felt, let's go back in time to a more like an older version of the Hudson Bay pattern, back when Snow and Ely was making them for Ella Bean, and they had a taller head, and they had a wedge shape because they were using it for splitting. So as opposed to trying to make something that we hope the market will use, now we went back to something that we know guys are going to try and use it. Let's make it best for that use, or that majority of use. Now, granted, everyone's going to use it differently, but 99%, 95% of everyone was trying to split with these axes. So we decided to make a better splitter. So back in the day, that style is very similar to what LL Bean had for their axe. And so we're kind of trying to bring back that same design and utilize the positive design elements that basically went away, unfortunately. So we're trying to go old school on this to make it a better tool with a lot better longevity for its handle and head connection.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, and seeing that it is a wedge, very much a wedge pattern, it's allowing it to be used as a wedge for splitting wood, and that handle head connection being better is all around, obviously, makes the tool do what it's meant to do better. So
sure. So here's an analogy I like to give when I talk to people about the design change. There are a lot of guys that would never have bought the old tomahawk version because they know that there's a strong possibility that the connection wasn't going to be stable enough for what they're going to do. So we never were able to sell to that part of the market.
Yeah.
And so by bringing this back, I'm hoping to not only gain people that it's the first axe they've ever got, or they bought one for their son or their kids or whatever, but also win back the guys that were like, I'm never going to buy one of these short eye Hudson Bays. So I'm hoping to regain some of that market that basically had walked away from the tomahawk pattern.
Yeah, I agree. And something that I ran into at the Lumberjack World Championship in Hayward when I sold there as a vendor all the time was Hudson Bays. People are like, I would never own one of these. And they point at one on the table, the head's loosened on it. It's a bunch of old guys. They're 60, 70, 80 years old, being like, I've never liked them. They've always came loose. I always spend more time hanging them than I do using them. And so hopefully that this is, and will notice this and say, hey, this might be something I'm actually interested in trying out. So that's pretty neat. Yeah. Vin says hi. Vin of Philly Axe Co.
Hey, Ben, how's it going, buddy?
Then also Austin. Let's see. Garrett Austin says, where did that go? Oh, geometry of your new 5-pound splitter is on point also. So he
Thanks. Yep.
fells trees.
Okay. Yeah, that was another axe that, we had an existing 5-pound that was sort of the blade geometry was set up to mimic a felling axe, and it did have a little bit of a taper to the back of the pole, so that you could say that it looks like a rafting axe.
Yeah.
But most of those 5-pounders, nobody's swinging 5 pounds sideways to fell a tree. And if they are, they're few and far between, and it's not a segment of the market that is really going to, you got to go over after the 80% of what the market is using it for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that splitting axe, even though they're trying to split with it, and it was set up to be more of a large felling axe, I decided, okay, if we're going to make it for the loggers, let's balance it on the 5-pound so that when you swing it sideways to drive wedges, you can do it one-handed. You're not fighting the blade.
Yeah.
But then also that balance and that compacting that steel to make it more wedgy should make it a really good splitter. So, one head, killing 2 birds with 1 stone is basically what I tried to do with that one to maximize our market exposure and be able to create a tool that everybody could use, even if they're not loggers.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, no, that's and he's helped us get that axe into a lot of people's hands out there. He buys them and then rehangs them on his own handles and then offers them for sale. So
sure.
he's been very intimate with the 5-pound bolt, and which is the forcible entry 6-pound.
Sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Austin Garrett for
Garrett. Thanks, Austin.
But yeah, so I don't. I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about. Do you have anything else on the Hudson Bay that you can talk about?
Like you said about talking about the difference between a premium and non. I would like to mention that on the premiums, they're often sold or bought as gifts for other people, and so that's one of the reasons that they come in basically a display box.
Yeah.
Is so that person has something. It's meant to be a special tool, and so basically a premium product with leather and a booklet from Council Tool in a display box adds value to that tool. I mean, if you're just looking at it from a axe to axe comparison, obviously the premium has still got a lot of attributes that are better or different than your standard. But it's the overall idea from the premium product is that there's added benefit and value to it that people just don't basically take into consideration until they get one, shipped to them, and they see that it's different than just buying one with a rubber guard on it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I agree. And
the reason that having two is everyone's got a different budget. I mean, there's, like I'd say, like your grandma would buy all the boys in the family a premium one, because she's got the money, whereas, if you had your cousin who's a college student, he's not going to spend that money, but he may want a cheaper one. So it all depends on what everyone's budget was. That's why offering different versions of the same tool fits everybody's needs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people wanting to spoil somebody for Christmas.
Sure.
Definitely all about a premium option as a gift versus the standard. And a lot of folks pick up a premium, and then that's their axe that they can go out and use when they want. But then the standard is something that they can take on a trip that maybe they go on with their kids or something like that. Their kids are okay with it because it is half the price, and that it is okay. So kind of
that's part of the reason that we call it the sport utility line, is because it's meant to be a working axe that you can still take for leisure and not have to worry about breaking the bank or, I would struggle with taking a $150, $175 axe into the Quetico, and then I have a dump out of my canoe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Thanks.
so
Gone.
yeah, right.
For sure. So yeah, I figured now we can kind of do like a little bit of a Q&A for the next 5 minutes and see if anybody's
Okay.
got questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Vin asks if there's any plan on to do a premium version of the Flying Fox. And so no, there's not a plan.
At this point, no. There is some interest in it, but at this time there's no plans. We have other projects that we're trying to develop, and it's interesting that it's a small company, and a lot of us wear multiple hats, and the engineering department that is responsible for helping me with design work is also responsible for maintaining all the equipment on the property or at the plant.
Yeah.
That's because that guy is that good that they want to be able to use him for different purposes. So, and the fact that we are so busy with existing orders, I mean, the demand is through the roof. We've never been this busy in 136 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to bring in new products during that really busy time, because that just adds more stress to production. So once things kind of settle down, we'll hopefully be able to work on some new products.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Joey says, love that you guys put so much R&D into making your products to make them perfect. You can tell just by holding a council steel axe that you guys genuinely care about products and are axe people yourselves. So thanks, Joey.
Yeah, thanks, Joey.
Yeah. Joey just hung a pack axe on a straight handle and sent me some pictures of it earlier before we went.
Okay.
I'm going to share those on my feed if anybody wants
cool.
to see it. It's pretty awesome. So Kevin says, how is the new location coming? Slow, very slow. I wish faster, but if it's because it's 6 hours away, it's been a trip today. I've spent the day fixing the dually so that I can use the dually to haul some equipment up there and haul some equipment back down that needs some maintenance. So yeah, I've been done here in southern Wisconsin as I can, and then we'll be moving up there. So. But regardless, it'll be June when we do make the move, and however finished it is. So
sure.
Thanks for your interest in that. Any plans to make a blade on the Fox a true 4 inches? I guess that kind of goes with the same question of the premium Flying Fox, where it's, that would be a whole new product line or a whole change. And at this point, it's
right. Well, the reason that it's not a full 4 to begin with has to do with how the forging dies wear over time. So you only get so many units or so many impressions out of a forging set of dies, because the way that the steel flows through that die, it wears that die down and actually creates a slightly larger axe at the end of that life than the beginning of that life, that die. So if I started at 4 and then, 3,000, 4,000 impressions later, that it could be above 4. And then if it's above 4, then it doesn't qualify or didn't qualify for the specs for the throwing.
Yeah.
So by keeping it under, then I don't have to worry about trying to grind them all back to 4. So, yeah. And I would say that if it's, a lot of people have found success. I mean, it's won 2 world championships on that head. So
yeah,
I would say it's doing well enough. So
yeah, I agree. Daryl Hicks says, is there double bit cruiser? So there is, and it's called the Saddle Axe. If you give me 2 seconds, I can go and grab one and show it to you.
It also depends on, I don't know if Brandon can hear me still, but so a saddle axe is 2 pounds and a true cruiser. So I was explaining the difference between a saddle and a cruiser. So a saddle is what we consider to be 2 pounds, and a cruiser would be 2.5 pounds.
I see.
So if he's looking for like a 28-inch version, he may be looking at asking about a true traditional 2.5 pound.
Okay.
So
now this is the closest thing we have in the council tool lineup for anything that resembles a 2.5 pound. This is a 2 pound on a 16-inch handle, premium. It also comes standard on a 16-inch handle, and the only difference is well, there's a lot of differences actually. 5160 steel in the premium, 1060 in the standard, premium hickory in this premium, and then standard hickory with a coat of wax on the standard. And then what else we got that's different?
The bevels.
Yeah,
the bevels are flat ground on the premiums.
Yeah.
2 different bevels on each side.
Yep.
And it's convex bevels on the sport utility.
Right. And the premium comes with leather, a leather mask, versus the standard, which does not come with a leather mask. So.
But you can buy.
But you can buy I offer the.
As an add-on.
Yep, as an add-on. Yep, for your.
Yep. So basically the same head size. So.
Yeah. What is your favorite axe in the council tool lineup? You can go first.
I would say my favorite, or the one I use the most, is a 24-inch boys axe, a sport utility.
Sport utility.
And the reason being is that it is a perfect all-arounder for what I do, and a lot of it is processing firewood and limbing trees, dropping trees in the woods for firewood. I'm mostly a firewood processor. I don't do a lot of bushcraft. I mean, if I wanna go camping, I pitch a tent in the backyard. So for me, it's more of I like wood heat in the winter, so I'm going to process as much wood as I can in the off season so that I can enjoy that during the winter. So most of my use of an axe is for processing firewood, and that's what I would use. I use it as called a splitting buddy. Yeah. So I will use my larger my larger 5-pounder and my FE6 for splitting. But if I'm splitting like elm or got a knotty ash or something like that, you've always got those little strings that hold the pieces apart. So I'll keep my boys axe next to me, and I'll use that just to sever those strings in that curve or that split, as opposed to trying to get back in there with my big axe. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I prefer. So
boys axe. Yeah, mine is from a utilitarian standpoint and not from like just cool. I would say mine is the 28-inch boys axe. So we offered that as the Forest Service spec boys axe, and I've been really enjoying having that in the van and using it, when I need it, up at the new place and just around, kind of as a chainsaw companion for banging plastic wedges, and also limbing, because it's a 28-inch handle, so you can kind of stand next to the, you can swing it next to your body, and not put too much effort into the limbing part of a down tree. So yeah, most of my axe work is done when I don't really do much firewood, and I'm not really camping per se. I guess I'm camping mainly out of the van, so I have tools with me. Most of my axe work is tied with chainsaw work. So yeah, that's the boys axe. So apparently boys axe, we're here talking about the boys axe. Right. We're also here talking about, which for you guys just tuning in, is the 19-inch boys axe, which is a house axe. Right. This head on a 24 is his favorite, and this head on a 28 is my favorite. So that's very interesting. Did not know.
I think that 19 may, when I get a hold of one, that 19 would make a really good splitting buddy as well. I mean, it's because I can swing it one-handed, and I can be really accurate with it, and especially to get into those strings, as opposed to me trying to pull it apart or get a bigger axe back in there. It just makes it. It's almost like a precision tool at that point. So it may actually, rise in its level of what I like best. If I were to go to the second one, my second favorite would be the 24-inch pack axe, and primarily is because it is a very effective limber. Yeah. It will, and even though I don't bushcraft, I do like to practice so that I can speak, I can talk the talk, and I can discuss the attributes of that tool specifically with bushcrafters. And I designed it for bushcrafters that way. So to me, the ability to be very accurate and have really good sharp edge to limb and to process kindling, the pack axe is really good at that. So that would be my number. That's my number 2.
That's right. So,
what's your number 2?
I think I haven't gotten much time behind the 5-pound fallers because I haven't really been in the woods dropping any trees. I've been meaning to help out our friends that have land here to drop. Been windy or I've been busy whenever
Right.
it appears. So I haven't gotten into the woods with the 5-pound fallers. However, I think that that's going to be my second. From what I have experienced with the 5-pound splitter, which I've got a decent amount of time behind, that is going to be a great axe to drive plastic wedges. So I would say the 5-pound fallers. One thing that I complain about the 5-pound fallers is that it is hung with an aluminum wedge, and it's painted, which I know has advantages, and a lot of customers have said that they enjoy that it's painted so they don't lose it. But I wish that the 5-pound fallers, or I wish the 5-pound splitter was available in that same finish.
No, say it again.
I mean, I wish the Faller's axe came in that finish, the sport utility.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. But yeah, but either way, the split.
Well, I would encourage everyone to fire off an email. You can send it right to me, and I'll collect them and send them forward.
Yeah.
Rooster@counciltool.com. If you guys got any requests, or if you got any ideas, or we need to listen to the market, and you guys are the market. So feel free to shoot me an email of what you think, what we should make next, or how we should improve what we got.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so Terry says he on Faller, or both 5 pounds. Joey says that he agrees. Council Tool 28-inch boys axe is my go-to. It's my most used axe. It comes out in the woods with me every day. So yeah, that's so we're on
daily driver.
Yeah, everybody's into the boys axes and the 5-pounders. So I would argue that if I was doing more camping like I used to in like 2019, when I was traveling a lot more for trade shows and such, and I was camping at campgrounds and national forest stuff, I would have to say the Camp Carver would probably be my go-to for that. And not so much a boys axe. The boys axe is kind of more, since I'm more home based now and not traveling as much. But yeah, the Camp Carver is nice small hatchet. Everything that I did in 2018, 2019 was processing bundles of wood into smaller pieces. Bundles that you buy at the campground or maybe at a gas station or roadside things.
Right.
The campground. For that, you can chisel off some stuff to make some kindling and get your fire started, and then you can put your big stuff on.
And that's where technique is such an important part of axemanship that a lot of people are just getting into, or they're trying to learn more as they can. But not everything's got to be split to make kindling. There's no reason why you can't take off the side and make chips. I mean, chips turn into fire just as much as a pencil thickness of a split wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be pretty.
Yeah.
You just have to get the fire started.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a pretty feather stick. Feather sticks are on Instagram, but in the real world, you just take what you can get, and it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to light on fire and grow bigger, throw the big stuff on, and cook yourself dinner. So, but the Camp Carver is a great one, and I have not been able to camp with the 22-inch handle one, which Appalachian Redneck says that he loves his 22-inch Camp Carver. So
good.
Glad you like it. I haven't gotten that one into the woods yet, and I haven't camped with it, but I'm really excited for springtime for doing some camping with that axe and seeing how it acts differently than the 16-inch version. So.
So it's interesting when you say how it acts differently. Oftentimes, it's not the axe that acts differently, it's the person that acts differently. So by getting that longer handle allows you to get two hands on it without your front hand being too close to the eye. Like you can get two hands on the 16-inch, but it feels kind of awkward because you're so close to the eye. But if you go ahead and you put your hand down here, because the handle is that much longer, now you're, obviously whatever dominant hand you're using, that's the idea with the longer handle, is that it gives you one full hand grip to stabilize and be more secure, which then makes you more confident, which then makes you more safe.
Yeah.
So it's a brain thing, which a lot of people don't realize is the psychology of
Yeah,
axemanship.
yeah, for sure.
So
Joey asks here, do you prefer the Camp Carver over the Pack Axe, and what are the benefits of the Camp Carver? So Craig here had mentioned earlier that his second favorite is the Pack Axe in the Council tool lineup. I like the Camp Carver I guess I like the Camp Carver because it's lightweight and it stows well in a car. On the 16-inch handle, like I can put that in like a Rubbermaid in the car, in the van for my camping setup. It's not bouncing around or anything like that. The Pack Axe comes on a 19 and a 24. So in 2018, I camped the whole year with a 19-inch Pack Axe, which was like 130 days of camping with that axe. And then the next year, Camp Carver came out, so I camped with the Camp Carver, and that axe I camped with for almost 200 days. It was like 190 something, and that I really liked the fact that it was short and small,
right.
and I could just pack it away. I could throw it in a bedroll quick, and or I can toss it in a backpack, and
it's also lighter.
Yeah, it's also a lot lighter.
Right.
Yeah, so it's more of a hatchet. The Pack Axe is kind of a hybrid between a boy's axe and a hatchet, so it has its benefits because it is heavier. But like I said, I was doing mainly van camping, so I'm not like going out into the woods and like felling trees to firewood. I'm just using what the ground gives me or what I buy there or at the gas station. So the Camp Carver did great for me.
So from a product standpoint, if you can build any axe to handle the hardest work that most people are going to give it, like the 5-pounder is made for loggers. There isn't anyone harder on an axe than a logger. Okay. Yeah. So if you make it for the loggers, everybody who isn't at that level is still going to benefit from what that axe can do. So if you look at the Camp Carver was designed to be exactly that, a camp axe and a carving axe. So it is able to be a bushcrafter's, answer to what they need outside of a knife.
Yeah.
So that's why we designed it so that it was balanced, a bigger blade, a lighter head, so that it is more of like 26 ounces, which is a lot easier to control one-handed. So that idea with that 16-inch handle, if you think of like a carpenter's finish hammer, is 16 ounces on a 14 or 16-inch handle. That is an accurate distance for most people to swing and be safe with. So the lighter head allows you to be comfortable one-handed, whereas a Pack Axe is 2 pounds, and even though most people can swing 2 pounds one-handed, you get to a point where you start to get tired and you don't want to use 2 hands. So the 26 or the 16-inch handle on a Camp Carver with a 26 ounce head, is that sweet spot with being large enough to get work done, light enough to use it one-handed safely, and all the other aspects of it are built in so that the bushcrafters can get their practice in, their dirt time in, and then everyone else can use it for whatever they want. If they can handle a survival type situation, it should be able to process, kindling to do marshmallows in the backyard.
Yeah. I just want to clarify because there was a misspeak, and he just mentioned that this is a 26 ounce head.
Yes, 26 ounce.
Built
2-inch
long straight handle or a 16-inch long curved handle. This is the 16-inch version. This is the one I camped with in 2019. Those 190 nights. I pulled the steel wedge out and broke one of our maple. And this would be a great camp axe. Great to pair with your Pack Axe. Like I said, I camped with a 19-inch pack, and then you got a Pack Axe there?
This is a Camp Carver. This is the original. This is the first one that was ever made.
Yeah, sweet.
And it's got a lot of work done on it. A lot of kindling, a lot of processing small wood, limbing, and it's still going strong.
Jimmer 777 says, do you still favor the 24-inch 2-pound boys axe over general light work, or would you use the new Hudson Bay with the hard pull? So do want to clarify, the boys axe, 24-inch boys axe is a 2¼ pound, so you do have an extra quarter pound on there. And in my opinion, the well, I don't know. If you're talking about the standard line Hudson Bay, they're pretty compatible in use. If you're talking a 24-inch standard line Hudson Bay, and you're talking about a 24-inch standard line boys axe, as far as work that you're going to get done with it, they're going to perform very similarly. The only difference is the fact that it has a hardened pull. So if you're striking steel or plan on striking steel in any way, then yeah, that hardened pull is going to have an advantage. It says general light work, so that's kind of general and broad, but yeah, if you're comparing it to the premium, it's obviously the premium has its advantages with being a higher carbon steel and premium handle, and coming with the leather mask. So,
I guess I would ask a question back: is how much of your light work, how much of that is tree work, and how much of that is splitting?
Yeah.
Because a boys axe is technically a small felling axe. And that's the geometry of it. It's built to be a felling axe, and you can split with it. Whereas the Hudson Bay is more of a splitting axe that you can limb with. So if you were to have on one spectrum you have felling and limbing, and the other side splitting, where do you fall in that line? Are you closer to splitting? Then I would say go towards the Hudson Bay. If you're closer to limbing and processing wood, and not as much splitting, then I would say the boys axe. So the reason that there's multiple axes is because there's lots of different applications, and you just need to find the one that is going to suit your need, and then give yourself permission to buy more than one to cover more bases that way.
Yeah.
Like for myself, I have about 7 daily drivers, I would call it, and they're all different, because I want to be able to be more specific on which one I pick up for the day, depending on what tasks I'm doing. So
yeah, he says, sorry, he was talking about the standard line, and thanks for clarifying. Craig had recommended the boys axe to me several years ago before the new Hudson Bay existed. So
sure.
Very much based on your task and what you're doing with that axe. So if you're doing more felling, the boys axe is great. Is that what you're saying? The spectrum's leaning towards chopping trees down with, and then the Hudson
or heavy limbing.
Or heavy limbing. The Hudson Bay is more splitting and stuff at camp. So yeah, he says thanks guys, and that clarifies it nicely. Well, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, great question. Let either of us know if you got any further questions with that. So.
And I think it's important to have these conversations, because there's so many products that overlap each other in their ability to do work. You know, I mean, in the right hands, a boys axe could split a lot of stuff. For somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, they may struggle with it.
Yeah.
But it's not the axe's fault. It's a lot of it comes down to the user, the experience, and how comfortable they are using and pushing the limits of that tool.
Yeah, and the user's choice. Like they
Right.
may have chose the wrong thing. Like I can't pull a gooseneck with my Honda Civic. I just can't. But if I have a 1-ton truck, I can pull a gooseneck with it. However, it's not going to go fast like a Civic would. So it's like picking the tool for the job. When it comes to axes, is so important, and I think a lot of people don't think of that. They just think, oh, it's a hatchet, oh, it's an axe, and there's a lot of different elements through history that have folks to design them in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're still doing that. I mean, that's what the market demands of a product and of a company to meet the needs as best we can with the large markets, with whatever the interest is. Now, granted, we can't make 3,000 different axes for 3,000 different people.
Yeah.
But we can try and hit the 80% of of what's out there and what's being, what the requests are, what the demand is, and then fill that demand.
Yeah, I think that
And then
every tool company kind of runs into. It's like they, I own Milwaukee tools. You probably own a couple Milwaukee tools, and like their M18 series, it's like how many impacts can you buy? I'm not going to drive drywall screws into the wall with my 1,400 foot-pound impact that is made to take lug nuts off the dump truck, but it will. But I'm definitely not going to try to take lug nuts off a dump truck with the little impact that drives stuff.
all right.
Like really works hard on trying to make sure they hit as many bases as possible with the fewest amount of products, so that way they're able to keep their costs low.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So here, this will be our last question. So Appalachian read neck again. If someone were on a budget and couldn't get a pack axe or Carver, what would be your standard line recommendation for a camp axe? I think we probably touched that earlier. I'd say 24-inch boys axe.
The other option is the Flying Fox.
Yeah.
Because the Flying Fox can process similarly like the Camp Carver. And it does have a hardened pole, so that's similar to both the pack axe and the Camp Carver. So depending on exactly the work you're trying to get done, that Flying Fox has its place in the woods.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely. If you're just doing light camp tasks like you would be with a Camp Carver, a Flying Fox would be cool. I took that to Montana in 2019 on that 30-day trip, and with the Camp Carver, I really, really enjoyed the Flying Fox also. It was great for pound and tent sticks and beating on, so definitely would recommend the Flying Fox. Super budget friendly also. The 24-inch boys axe is on sale this weekend as we're shooting this video, so you've got that. But yeah, head over to the standard axe section and kind of compare the two, and on whiskeyrivertrading.com's website, and see which one you think. Shoot us any questions you got with them.
Yeah, and like I said, if you guys want more technical questions on comparing other products or whatever, you can reach me at rooster@counciltool.com. I also run the Council Tool Instagram, although I try not to do too much technical communication through that account because it's not really meant for discussion. I'd rather do that through email or through a phone call.
Yeah.
So it's just easier if you guys really want to talk tools, is get a hold of me through my email, and we can keep the conversation going that way.
Yeah, I agree. And then, yeah, any technical questions that are in regards to tools or Whiskey River and any products, I'm always available at brandon@rivertrading.com or service at Whiskey River. So both of them will get you some answers. So do you have any finishing points?
I just want to say, everyone, we appreciate everyone's mutual support. I mean, we're doing this for you as much as you guys are supporting Council Tool. It's been a struggle through the pandemic. The demand for hand tools across multiple markets has been crazy. We don't just make axes. We make fire tools, sledgehammers. So the demand across multiple markets has really put a strain on our company, and it's caused us to have really long lead times to our dealers, which then you guys have struggled with to try and get product.
Yeah.
So we apologize for that. We're making as much as we can, as fast as we can. So, stick with us. We'll be here through the end of everything, and we're still working to make quality tools for you guys who want to get work done.
Yeah. And from my aspect, is thanks for sticking around for us working with Council Tool and our other suppliers to get product in. So I'm super grateful for everyone who's been patient and has helped us grow during the pandemic and through these supply chain issues and all of that. So thank you. And I think that's
show them the boys axe again.
Boys axe.
That's what we're here for.
House axe available, standard axe section on the website. We're trying to talk Council Tool into adding this to their lineup. They made us this batch. Head to whiskeyrivertrading.com, standard axe section. Grab yours today. All right. I'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.